little, my family and I would have this Christmas tradition of going and seeing the Marshall Field's windows in downtown Chicago. If you know what I'm talking about, you know that the Macy's, which used to be called Marshall Field's in the Loop, has these beautiful window displays. And they always have like a theme or a story behind them. One year it was like Pinocchio when I was really little. I think the most recent years they've done like a Make-A-Wish Foundation or some sort of theme like that. They've done Miracle on 34th Street, but basically you walk window to window and they have these little animatronics and it's set up and it's really pretty. And on the inside of Marshall Fields, they have this beautiful Christmas tree set up in the Walnut Room, which is like an old ballroom, and it's named the Walnut Room because of the walnut wood that panels the walls. And I always remember going around Christmas time with my mom and her parents, and even now to this day, my mom will like ask us, you know, like, hey, do you want to take the train down to Chicago Christmas time and look at the windows or do this or do that? And Chicago always had that kind of special place and in that memory about like special times and events, whether it be museums or the Art Institute or Christmas time. And then it changed as I got older and I started frequenting there more for concerts. And then I lived in the city, and it just has this special place in our backyard that we can access at any point. And now, as I look forward to possibly moving back to the city and buying a house down there, I'm just really reflective on Chicago and what it means to me. This is Coffee and Catastrophe with Brent and Gabi.
Man, I hated the city for so long.
Oh man, tell me about it. Tell me about that.
Well, I was mainly like afraid. I remember a few times my aunt would take me downtown like during Christmas time to see the Marshall Fields windows, and I do have fond memories of that. But I remember like the city was always this big scary place to me as a kid, only because I only went there a handful of times, usually, you know, by the metro train. And to me, that's the quintessential like going to the city experience from the suburbs, you know, because you are on the, at least from my town, you know, Round Lake, that was an hour, maybe hour and 10-minute train ride every single time. So I didn't really know much about, I actually hated the city, and I thought only the Loop was the whole city. So like when I started going to film school, I totally thought, okay, like they say, oh, let's go to the north side. I'm like, that's just the Loop, but farther north. Or the south side was the Loop, but a lot worse. So just like completely scared to ride any CTA line. I didn't know where I was going, so I was like really afraid of this stuff. You know, and I really didn't come into my own until, you know, I was in film school and had my, you know, in my early 20s. Mm-hmm. So I had a completely different perspective. So do you still think of, like, what do you think of the city, like, right now, like, as an adult, going, like, to and from there? Like, let's just say there's a concert, you're hanging out with a friend, like, where's your heart at now with it?
It's good. I mean, like, so I didn't have, like, I also think I had like a conception only of like of Chicago as like downtown in the Loop area until I was older. When I was in high school, I was part of like film club, and we would go to like the Music Box Theater and see movies. So I was familiar with like how the CTA worked once I got into high school, because I would go down with like my friends or whatever. And I became familiar with that. And I started like exploring more and like, you know, seeing different aspects of the city. I do remember, so I went to Loyola for my undergrad, and that's in Rogers Park, which is the northmost neighborhood in Chicago. It's very diverse. It's supposed to be like one of the most diverse neighborhoods in the city of Chicago. And I had a real aversion to like Rogers Park. Like, it's like, the area near the college campus is all right, and it's honestly been built up so much compared to like when I was first going there, like in the, you know, in the years since I've graduated. But like I remember like by the time I was done like with my college degree, I was like, fuck this, like I am not living in the city anymore. Like I hated it. It just felt like claustrophobic with all the people, and like, you know, I mean, living in a city, you have experiences, like, especially as a woman, and I was afraid to take the CTA because it had so many experiences with, like, men or crazy people, like, yelling shit at me, or, like, men trying to grab me, and, like, you know, just unpleasant experiences, to the point that I was like, I'm sick of being, like, in this noisy-ass environment where I am just, like, one face in a million. I'm alone in a city of a million people. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm leaving. And I moved back to the suburbs. Now, it's been some years, and I realized that if I was going to live in the city, I could afford to live in places other than Rogers Park. And so I think kind of more highly of it. Like, now I spend, like, a lot of time, like, on the weekends, like, going to events in the city. Like, actually, the past 2 or 3 weekends, I've, like, found something to do, whether it be, like, a street festival because it's the summertime, or, like, friends having, like, record release shows and going down for different activities or whatever. Like, now I have a much better, like, view of the city or whatever, and I've seen a lot more of it. I probably now spend more time on, like, between, probably, like, Ravenswood, Irving Park, Avondale, Logan Square. My brother used to live in Boys Town, now he lives in Southport. So, like, I kind of spend my time in those areas more than anything. And I have lots of friends who live in Ravenswood. And as I said, I'm thinking about moving back to the city now. I really got to think about it, though, because one of the things that I find that I need as a human to feel whole is, like, a connection to nature. And, like, out here in the burbs, like, I live across from a flippin' prairie. Like, I can go there anytime I want, like, take a walk or whatever. And it's really hard in the city to not feel, like, bogged down by the construction or bogged down by the concrete jungle.
That's what I always wondered about Boys Town. I've been there a lot, and I have never seen a boy. I've seen a lot of, like, gay men, like, walking dogs. I have yet to see, like, a child, you know, like, Boys Town. I'm like, holy shit, is this, like, you know, like Peter Pan? Like, where there's, like there's no adults and there's just little boys walking around? That sounds like a dangerous place, you know?
So it's so confusing. But no, it's just a bunch of gay men.
Yeah. I mean, it should be called, you know, like, Gay Men Town. You know, but boys, I don't know. That's just kind of weird to me.
Fun fact, Boys Town was the first recognized gay village in the United States. Something like that.
Really?
Like an openly, like, gay village. Like, it was one of the first recognized. So
my question is, how come it became synonymous with dog walking, too?
Okay, because gay men have taste and they also have great dogs. This is what I've learned. But literally, that's all my brother will say is, like, he's like, the amount of dogs I see, like, walking, like, back and forth from his apartment, he's like, it's fucking great. I remember Rogers Park, there weren't a lot of dogs, but there was bunny rabbits everywhere. And Loyola has a really cool library that, like, overlooks Lake Michigan, and you can camp out there, like, literally all day, except for, like, certain days on the weekend or whatever, and all night. And supposedly there was, like, a silver fox that would, like, walk. It would walk, like, along the windows, so, like, people would, like, watch it, like, walking on the lake or whatever. So, and I really do love, like, the lake exposure that Rogers Park has. But, you know, it's also, like, there's no parking. It feels really, like, everybody's, like, slammed in next to each other. Like, it feels really hustly bustly, like, especially, like, the heat wave that we're experiencing right now. It just makes me think of, like, being in Rogers Park in my little studio that, you know, was built in, like, 1900, and, you know, there's no AC, and I'm just sitting there fucking boiling, and, like, you know, you constantly hear people and things or whatever. And Rogers Park, you know, there's quiet parts of it or whatever, but, like, it's nothing like out here in the suburbs, you know what I mean? Like, there's way more space out here.
There is. I think in my heart, I'm more of a suburbanite. Is that the term?
Yeah, suburbanite.
Yeah, I'm a suburbanite. The cool thing about the city that I like is it seems like there's always something to do. There is. However, I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't go to parties. I'm introverted. So the only, like, real awesome thing that there really is to do in the city is go see independent movies. Sometimes, like, they'll have, you know, like, an independent, like, film festival, or they'll have this, like, really obscure documentary playing that you would only be able to find, like if you dug deep on Amazon, or, you know, because out in the burbs, it's very much, if you took all the mainstream parts out of the city and put them in a field with corn, you get the suburbs. Because the city has a lot more room for, like, independent stuff. And I don't know if I've mentioned this in the previous episode of the podcast, but we are very fortunate to live around such a melting pot of culture. And I don't want to say the term diversity because I don't want diversity to sound synonymous with anyone who's just not white. Because you go to a place like Waukegan where it's mainly like black people, that's not a diverse place. There's just mainly black people and Mexicans. But in the city, there's little pockets. Like there's still a lot of segregation in the city, you know, especially like in the hipster areas. Like you go to a Korean restaurant where only white people are working there. But, you know, and they have some pretty great food. I think the name is Crisp. They have some of the best like Korean fried chicken I've ever had. But a white dude in a beard who listens to Monsters and Men, like he cooks up the food. Yeah. So it's like, you know, it's rare to find authenticity in those like gentrified areas. Yeah.
Well, and the whole city is like, it's definitely like in this whirlwind of like gentrification and whatnot. And even like I've talked previously, like I am fearful of like moving into a certain neighborhood because like I can afford maybe a house there, but oh boy, like I am gentrifying the neighborhood by being there or whatever. So I think that, and Chicago is block by block. It's also one of the most segregated cities in America. Actually only, I think Milwaukee, and which is another thing we're lucky about, is like we live pretty much gobsmack between Milwaukee and Chicago. Chicago's a little closer, but it takes like even shorter to get to Milwaukee because it's so much easier on the Wisconsin like expressway or whatever, of 90 or 94. And it's like, Milwaukee is considered the most segregated city in the country because it's literally like people are boxed in by their race and ethnicity, like, and that's just like the way it's been set up. Now, like, I guess maybe purposefully, I don't really know the history, but definitely Chicago is that way. There's actually, funny enough, there's considered or recognized 77 different neighborhoods in the city of Chicago. And now that I've been looking at like, you know, purchasing a house down there or whatever, I've been like exploring and like you'll go like 3 blocks and you're not even in Logan Square anymore. You're in this or that, or there's tiny places. Looked at a place, it was in Dunning. I'm like, I've never heard of Dunning before. Where's Dunning? I'm like, oh, it's outside of like this or that. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. Like, there's so many different spaces like in Chicago and they all have their own feel and ideas and things. But yeah, gentrification is a really big problem like in the city, and it's forcing many people to have to leave their neighborhoods and blah, blah, blah.
So here's how you solve that problem. Just move to where all the white people are living.
I suppose I could. I mean, the thing is the white people are like flooding into every neighborhood though.
Yeah, just move where they are.
I guess they're kind of everywhere. White people are kind of everywhere now, so.
Like don't move to the south side, because you're going to gentrify the area. Just go to where the white people are. See, the thing is if you eat a bag of Skittles, and you separate the flavors, you really get to see how each one tastes. Now, if you just put a handful in your mouth, you don't know what the fuck you're eating. So that's why it's better to keep the flavors separate when you're eating your Skittles.
Excuse me, I'm going to throw up now.
It's not like M&M's where that's just a different color, but they all taste the same. Skittles have very different flavors. They got the brown Skittles taste a heck of a lot different than...
The brown Skittles are grape. They're purple.
Brown, purple, it doesn't... I mean, white, it does not matter. The yellow Skittles, they got the red Skittles. There's only a couple of those in each bag, but even still... If you have those Skittles, you really taste how intense they are, and you are making you're cringing.
I'm cringing so hard. No.
That was real. There's an episode of United Shades of America with W. Kamau Bell.
Yeah.
Great show. I think that was his first episode where he actually went to a KKK group, and one of the guys said that about the Skittles.
Oh my God! Seriously, that's disgusting. It's like we should embrace like our individuality and our cultures, but then like when he's saying that, like you're just like, no, not like that. Like, yes, but not like that.
It makes sense though. I mean, with Skittles, but he was
with Skittles, sure. With human beings, not so much.
Right, but then what? Well, here's the thing. What if you were a yellow Skittle and you wanted to taste like an orange Skittle? Is that cultural appropriation?
I don't think that man. I'm assuming here. I don't think that man knows what cultural appropriation is.
Hey, he's woke too. He knows all them liberal buzzwords.
Did you say he's awoke?
He's woke.
I think he said awoke.
He's woken himself. So the thing is, he doesn't wear that robe for style. He wears it for survival because it's fucking cold out there, and you don't have Snuggie.
I do love W. Kamau Bell. He just released a Netflix special, and I felt bad because he was doing a lot of like politically charged bits or whatever, and there was just moments where like people were not laughing, and I was like, damn it. There's some really funny shit in his work though, and I really value what he has to say. But yeah, no, gentrification is a huge problem though. I'm like, that's something I'm trying to be conscious of and like thinking about, because again, like, places that are like more affordable, I know that if I move in, I'm just adding to the problem. Like, first I move in, then a yoga studio comes in, and it's just downhill from there.
Well, that's great because you don't have to go far to do yoga like in a public place. You know, if it's like down the street, or like better yet, it doesn't matter. Like if it's in the same building, it's more convenient for you. But
yeah, it's more convenient for me. And then I'm like squeezing people out of their homes and their neighborhoods. Woo!
Not really. It's like it's the city more than you, because you just want to move the place, and if the city does it, like let's just say that you're in line, to get into a store, and you wanted to go buy the new I don't know, like the new Yeah Yeah Yeahs album. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, I don't know even if there's a new one.
No.
All right, there's like 5 people in front of you,
yes,
waiting to get in.
Yes.
And in the front of the line is the biggest fan, but a couple people behind them is just another person. And then you tell the person that's in front of you, hey, I really want this album. So the person in front of you kicks that other person out of line. Is it a bad thing?
Yes.
Yeah, it is kind of bad.
Well, yeah, no, gentrification's bad. Like, it's removing people out of neighborhoods or whatever. And, the thing, we do have to acknowledge, like, Chicago has, like, a checkered, like, political history, and, like, it's not exactly the most, it's not, like, the least expensive place to go. Like, when I tell older people, like, that I want to move back to the city, they're like, oh, that's a horrible idea for your investment portfolio. They just are like, don't move to the city, the property taxes are this, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm kind of like, I guess the main thing I associate with Chicago, especially, like, when I visit there on the weekends, is, like, it's a place for destination and, for arts and culture, like, I can go and I can listen to bands there, and it's more easily accessible to go, like, see cool things, like movies or whatever, like, go to museums, like, it's more expensive, though, too, like, it's a lot of things to, like, think about, for sure, but, so, like, you also went to college in the city. But you were mostly in the Loop? Is that correct?
Yeah, I went to Columbia, so that was on the corner of Roosevelt it was near Roosevelt and Wabash, or 11th and Wabash. So I would walk about 16 blocks from the train to the campus every day. And sometimes I took the Orange Line at Quincy, right off I still call it the Sears Tower because it'll always be.
It's always the Sears Tower.
Yeah, see, I still say Rosemont Horizon too, as opposed to the Allstate Arena. But then there's some real old school people who say Comiskey Park.
It's for real.
But I would walk there, and I loved walking around, especially in the summertime, because you get to, I don't know, like when you are in a Loop, or like in an area that has really tall buildings, like there's just like this really like awe-stricken feeling that, at least I'm overcome with. And I think with Chicago, you'll see this like on the TV shows and like PBS and like the History Channel and stuff. But I think just within the public opinion, Chicago doesn't get enough credit for its architecture.
Oh my God, yeah.
There's some beautiful, beautiful like architecture and walls, and you're like, oh my God, that building has gargoyles on there?
No, for sure.
And it just looks amazing. And then you go to a place like Milwaukee or like another city, and it looks like they was just built in like The Sims, like in like 5 minutes. Like they just like built the structure.
They just like erected it, and that was it.
Yeah, it's a tall building and that's it. But like the Chicago, like just the art, it's when you just really look at these buildings. One of my favorite classes I ever took was the History of Chicago class in Columbia.
That's cool.
And the teacher was just this like amazing like lecturer. And one of our projects was he gave us locations that we had to find through riddles, and trivia. So we went through the entire city and like had to take a picture of like what it was. So we had to go to like this theater or the Playboy Mansion, or my favorite one was it was a very obscure riddle. Then I even had to ask my dad, because he's like very knowledgeable in like Chicago history. And basically, I think this one place, it was on a campus, and I can't remember which campus. Maybe you can help me out here, but it's where they like started like the atomic bomb.
Oh, was that at UIC? It definitely wasn't Loyola.
No.
Maybe not DePaul.
No, it was like, I remember I had to take a bus for an hour, and it was on like 56th Street. I can't remember where it was, but like...
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's like a triangular dome on that campus, too.
Wait, University of Chicago?
Perhaps. Maybe.
Was it in Hyde Park?
I think so.
Okay, probably.
And I took a picture there, and I did get the extra credit question right, but that assignment really made us see the city for what it was, because there's a lot of like suburban kids. One of my closest friends like grew up in the city and knew every place, knew how to get there. Like, oh, you just take this down to 5th, then you hang a left at 7th, and then you do the flip at this, and then you got to park on this. Like, still it was to this day. Yeah. Hates Chicago as of now, but even still, she had like this encyclopedic knowledge, and she actually really showed me like all the best parts of the city, like all these like little great spots for food and just like places to walk around. And you know, so the city, I look back more fondly on that time than the city itself, because I think the city really is what you make it. If you go there with like for a tourist attraction like the Taste of Chicago, which has really declined over the years, because I remember I started going in like 2005. It was an amazing place. And then, you know, you had some really, really shitty people who, like just ruined it for the rest of us. And now like you have to get checked and anal probed, like just to get in there. And there's like gates, whereas before you could just walk right in there. I saw, Robert Plant play there. I would have seen Stevie Wonder, but I misinterpreted like, what the line was for. Oh. I was in the VIP line, and he said, "Oh, this is sold out," where we could have just, you know, sat on the lawn. Saw quite a few other people there, but it's just a really good experience. I really like the little hipster, like artsy, like cultural parts. Like there's definitely that in Madison, and I love Madison too.
Oh, Madison's an awesome town, yeah.
Yeah, but at least with the city, you know, just being there in film school, you know, taking the trains in the CTA, like when I was by myself, like if I was going somewhere I knew, I was more comfortable. But then, you know, if I was going into uncharted territory, I was a lot more scared. Especially, I remember the first time we had to meet up for a class project. I was with like another guy, and we took the Green Line. And there was 3 homeless guys in the back, and one of them had a patch eye, and he was trying to sell us postcards. And his name was Pinky. And I know this because when we got off the Green Line, it was like, hey, was there a guy with a patch eye in the back? And they were looking for him, and he had like a warrant out for his arrest. So I was like, my asshole was so tight, like just during that entire trip. But then I remember I took the same Green Line like to like a really bad neighborhood. But before then, I remember there's this girl like that I had feelings for. We met up and hung out for a little bit, and then the day ended when, like, we kissed. And, Aww. You know, and it was fantastic. And I was just light on air, and I was literally, like, on the Green Line going through, like, the worst parts, and I was staring at the window just so happy, and, like, there was people beating the shit out of each other in the back of the car. But, no, I was just head over heels. You know, so... I guess the city is whatever's on your mind at the time, the city enhances it. So it's kind of like espresso, or it's like a
Rorschach test.
Yeah, because if you go there depressed, you're only going to see the most depressing parts of the city. But if you go there happy and ecstatic, you're going to see like all the best stuff you can.
That's really astute of you. That's a really astute, like, thing to say, because I totally agree with you. Because, like, when I was in school, I was depressed all the time. I was just, like, not happy. I couldn't experience life out there, because I was working all the time, and I had I wasn't just able to, like, go and explore the city. And, like, I wasn't 21 until the last month that I was, like, living at school, or last couple months, and I'm not really a drinker anyway, so I really, you know, I never had a fake ID either, so I didn't, like, go to these parties, or, like, whatever. I didn't, you know, that wasn't really me. I didn't really, like, experience all of that, because there's benefits, there's good things about living in the city. Like, there's those places and those niches and the little places that you can find that are so cool. But yeah, no, I totally, like, hate taking the CTA. Like, it's just, like, I've had so many bad experiences on the L, and just, like, again, like, people fighting or, like, people vomiting or people yelling at me or trying to touch me and just, like, oh, just stop, I hate it. And every time I would have to go anywhere alone, I would freak out because I was, like, I would literally have to, like, work myself up. Like, okay, like, you're gonna do this and everything's gonna be fine and blah, blah, blah. And I also, like, never... You'll see a lot of people with their headphones in, like, listening to music, and I was always terrified that, like, if I had my headphones in, like, someone would try to snatch my phone, or, like, something like that, or, like, I wasn't gonna be aware. But yeah, no, I always, like, hated, like, that, and, I really loved going back home so I could, like, be in the quiet that is the suburbs. I was actually talking the other day with somebody, and he was like, yeah, no, I, like, want to keep this house out here in the suburbs, and, like, my dream is, like, have a place in the city, and that I can, like, come back here, like, when I need fresh air. And I was like, I feel the exact same way. Like, my ideal would be to have a space in both so I can, you know, experience both parts of life when I want to or when I need to or whatever. Lots of things to think about too. And, like, if you move to the city, like, your life does change in certain ways. Like, it's different. Like, when you need to go to the grocery store, you don't just, like, depending on your neighborhood, you don't just, like, hop into your car and drive. You, like, make the, you know, the 4-block trek. Like, when I lived at Loyola, there was an Aldi, and that was the only place I could really afford to, like, buy groceries. So my ex and I would, like, walk the 4 or 5 blocks south, get breakfast, go across to Aldi, walk back in, like, you know, -0, you know what I mean, below zero weather, and just, like, haul my fucking groceries back, and we would get back to my space, and, like, my apartment was warm from the radiator, and we would put all my groceries in the kitchen and run into my bedroom and get under the covers because it was so fucking cold from outside, and we would try to warm up. It was horrible. It was great. I don't know what I'm talking about, but...
No, dude, the cold lives in the city, dude. Like, when it's wintertime in the city, that cold kicks your ass.
When the polar vortex was happening, I lived 20 feet from Lake Michigan. It was -23 outside, and the university, which they have to have this stance, they won't close because, like, you know, people are paying to go there. It's a money thing. It's also a safety thing. Like, they like to keep the buildings open as, like, warming stations for, like, homeless people or people in the area to, like, they need to, you know, walk into the Mundelein Center and warm up a bit before taking the bus or something like that. They can do that. But, yeah, no, the cold, man. I mean, like, oof. That's really rough when you have to, like, commute everywhere, like, outside, and you can't be in your warm car. That can be a little rough, but,
That wind, like, it really feels like eagle talons tearing at your face.
Oh my god, it moves right through you, right down to your bones.
I would actually wear a legit ski mask, like, to keep myself warm in the city. Like, I was completely bundled up. I had thermal underwears. I had thermal gloves.
Me too.
I have the hot hands, and then I had a ski mask, and
100%.
everyone was afraid of me, and I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yo, that's the thing. You need to act tough. I used to like, if I was in a situation where I was, like, on the CTA, or I was in, like, a space where I was, like, afraid, I would always act like I was talking to myself, because I was like, I'll act fucking nuts, and then they won't fucking bother me. So I've had to do that a couple times, but
it worked out in my favor because, like, I was really sad and depressed, so I would just look out the window, like, longing with tears in my eyes, and no one would talk to me anyway.
While wearing a ski mask?
Yeah, I was the saddest robber. You know, so no one really...
Oh, yeah, but I would bundle up. I would wear, like, during that time, I would put, like, I didn't have long johns, I don't think, so I would wear, like, pajama pants under my jeans and, like, multiple layers, like, you know, tank top, t-shirt, long sleeve shirt, hoodie, jacket, coat, like, oh my god. And that's like, going to school in, like, 3 pairs of socks, like, oh god.
And I remember I had to get up at 4 a.m. Every Thursday for a semester or two to get the 5:45 train out of Round Lake to go into the city, and I didn't come home until, like, 6:30.
Oh.
So I got to ride the train with all, like, the business people. So there would be newspapers everywhere, and they would all have their little routines. Some would actually take out the sections of the newspaper, then hang them over the safety railings, but then they wouldn't, like, pick them up. So I remember I would bring the paper home for my dad, like, almost every single day.
Nice.
But dude, like, there's just the train rides there, and you know, you really learn how to, like, just kind of navigate and survive, just, like, walking through that damn cold. And it's cold at least, you know, 7 months, 8 months out of the year in the city. Because, like, even though it's sweltering here, it's either more sweltering in the city or it's actually, like, okay. There's never any in between. But I would say all the best times I ever had in the city were with other people. So
Yeah.
I guess like my experience with the city is that it really tapped into my more like, I'm an introvert at heart, but there's like extroverted parts of me, and it really played into it. So
I'm the same way. Like, I need to recharge away from people. I was telling you earlier how, like, I feel like this summer I've scheduled myself out, like, with so many people doing so many things that, like, I need to make sure that I have the 2 days just to myself a week to, like, get away from people. And I do agree, like, the city is best, like, enjoying it with other people, like, going out to dinner, going to see art, going to this, that. I will say the one exception is, right after my school year got out, I went to the Art Institute by myself. And that was, like, one of the best things I've ever done. It's just, like, to be alone in a museum where you can go at your own pace and see all the art that you want and not have to see the other things that you don't want. Or, like, if you're on a date, you have to, like, schmooze them and, like, act like you know how to analyze art. Like, no, fuck that. Just, like, walk it yourself and, like, have a good time. But, yeah, no, I think that it's best enjoyed with other people. And, like, there's one thing that I think that Chicago doesn't get enough credit for is, like, it's still a city, but there's enough of a relaxed vibe to it. Like, it's not like, you know, I've never been to New York City, but it gets a bad rap that, like, New Yorkers, like, have this attitude or this chip on their shoulder at all times. And and Chicagoans for the most part are really, like, nice, kind, gentle people. Like, people don't get in your face, like, too much. Like, yeah, there's always, like, the crazy person on the L or, like, on the street corner, which is funny because, like, when you're in the Loop, you see all these people, like, panhandling or, like, whatever. But, like, you go up north and, like, or even south, like, that's not the case. Like, sure, there'll be, like, a couple people here or there that are, like, asleep on the side of a building or something like that, or, like, but, you see most of them downtown and they're, like, asking for money or change or whatever. But, and there's also, like, there's like, near overpasses is, like, a really big place for people. Like, there's off Fullerton, there's, like, a little camp for people down there, and it's always, like, filled with people. But, for the most part, Chicago is just, like, a really, like, chill city. Like, it's really, like, nice. It's not, like, downtown's dirty, but it's, like, not, like, it's not, like, super disgusting. Like, I would be, really grossed out, and there are a lot of green spaces depending on where you are. Like, there's trees, it's walkable, it's parkable, which is, I mean, downtown is absolutely nuts, but, like, for the most part, you can find parking anywhere you want to go. You might have to walk a few blocks, but whatever, like.
Part of what originally scared me about the city was homeless people. I remember when I was a kid, my dad would take me to, like, the museums and whatever else. Like, I was actually a really sick kid. I went to the Children's Memorial Hospital quite a bit, so for pulmonary tests and stuff, but that's beside the point. So there was one day we were walking, and it was, like, a nice day in the summer, and I think we were just walking to the train, and then we called this guy Sylvester the Bum. And he was like this really old, just, like, disheveled bum. And he was standing in the middle of the sidewalk. And he was slapping, like, he had his one hand cupped, and then, like, he had the other one slapping down on top of it. And he was just like, like, signaling for money. Like, he just slapping his hand down in his other hand. So my dad, like, just said, no, I don't have any money. So then he went, and then he started chasing us down the street.
What?
So we're running from Sylvester the Bum, and I was like 10 years old.
Oh, that's terrifying.
So then my dad turned around and he raised his fist like he was going to knock the shit out of him. And then, like, Sylvester, like, caught wind of that and then just turned around and went, like, and then just kept slapping his hand for money. Like, nothing ever happened.
That's terrifying.
So I still had that fear of homeless people, because there's something about me. I might have said this in maybe the first episode. Kids, cats, and homeless people always fuck with me, no matter what. If there's a child, the child will, like if I'm in a crowd, a child would immediately come up to me and, like, just say, "You're fat," or, like, they'll always fuck with just me. Cats, they claw the shit out of my legs. And homeless people, no matter what, there's, like, so many people with, like, business suits and all this, like, whatever, walking around, but they single me out every time. You know, like it's like I'm trying. It's as if like I'm famous, but not like famous in terms of like you're in that movie famous, but like, oh, you can do something for me famous. So, or I could fuck with you famous. So it's so rare that I could just walk past a homeless person like everybody else without them either making like a comment or they're like they follow me or talk to me. Like I just can't be left alone. I don't know what the fuck it is. Like I'm 6'2". I'm now 277 pounds. There was at one point in time I was like pushing 350, but like so on paper I should look like an intimidating guy, but everybody fucks with me. I don't know what it is. I guess there's like this aura or energy. Or just like how, you know, maybe it's perhaps that I'm slouched over when I walk and I don't like have my back straight or my chin up. Like my head's always like looking down, like, you know, at my feet rather than like, you know, up and, you know, to see what's in front of me. But every single time the homeless people fuck with me every single day. I told you a couple weeks ago, there's this one homeless dude on the corner of LaSalle and Adams. He was in a wheelchair. He had no legs. And he had on, you know, like just like the greasiest, you know, clothes. Just like his sweat was through it. He had like a long grain ponytail, and I think he was a veteran. So, and I wore my sunglasses, and I'm like, oh God, there he is. Just leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. Hey, look at you. You look like a blues brother with those sunglasses on. And then I would ignore. I just wouldn't say anything. And then like I would like take 2 steps away from him. He'd go, every day, you fucking son of a bitch. And then like I'd walk farther away, and like I'd still like be 3 blocks away, and I'd still hear like, this guy would talk shit to me every day, and like everybody else, they would just pass him. Some people would give him money in his cup as he was talking shit to me, and he wouldn't even acknowledge it, and he's still talking shit to me. And then there's this one guy called Crooked Foot Jones. He was on the bridge, like from like the Adams to like Wacker, you know, like right before the Sears Tower, right by the Union Station. He like his foot was just crooked as fuck every day, and then he would stare me dead in the face every day as I would walk back to Union Station. And I had my sunglasses. I'm like, oh God, please no, I don't want to. Like, I just don't, you know, like, because I know like you know, if I were to be a good person, I would at least give them something. But I think, you know, they're raping my time. I just don't. Just because I'm out in public and you want money doesn't mean I should give you my attention. And I know that sounds horrible, but sometimes I just want to like go on the train. And this is every day, but every single homeless person would fuck with me. It's not just like once every month. I could put up with that, but every day. It's like they were like the paparazzi. You know, I would just like see it like, oh God, he had a camera. Like Beyonce probably feels like, oh shit, they have cameras. What am I? Okay, I gotta be aware. And then like walk out of like the restaurant and like click, 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 click. It's like homeless people. They just like all their heads would poke up out of the crowds and just stare me in the eyes like I was a marked man. You know, but as I'm saying this, that was mainly my perception of the city as opposed to it actually happening. Because of course I walk by homeless people like everybody else, and you know, I have given money to a few of them, you know, but just like with my fearful mind and in my early 20s, I thought every homeless person was out to get me, and the overall aura of the city exacerbated it because everyone was a crazy driver. It smells like shit in the Loop. You don't know what you're smelling.
The Loop always smells like feces. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's either feces, and then you cross the bridge and like, oh, that's chocolate. That's actually a really nice smell.
The fucking chocolate factory down there, yeah, and it smells delicious. And then you're like, whoa.
Yeah, but no, I was scary. But then like one of my close friends, like I said earlier, really took me to all like the great places of the city, like the more chill places, like, you know, I don't know if Portage Park was one of them, but the Patio Theater, like the Six Corners of Death.
I love Six Corners. That's a cool area.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of great stuff. I'm like, oh wait, so it's not all like the Loop. It's just really chill. Like you'll go to a nice, like I went to Hamburger Mary's.
Hamburger Mary's is a good time.
It's a gay nightclub, like bar nightclub. I don't know. I've never been in like in the upstairs area where like all the gay shit goes on, but
all the gay shit.
Yeah, like there's just the designated room to do all the gay shit. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that's like, but you know. And then I remember they gave me the receipt for my meal in a high heel, and I thought that was pretty rad. And then yeah, I went to I went with one of my gay friends to a gay nightclub one time. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a really shitty small one. So, like, if you were to, it's kind of like, you know, like in the suburbs, we compare, like, all right, that place has, like, Italian beef sandwiches. They have the best, but it's a shitty rundown thing. So I guess this was, like, the gay bar equivalent. But everyone was just standing around like it was a, like, 8th grade middle school dance. And, like, people were afraid to talk to each other. And there was a wet boxer or a wet underwear contest going on in the back. And then there was just this little inflatable kiddie pool, like, in the middle of the room. And then there was a guy wearing his tighty whities. And then they were playing the fucking Robin Thicke song, like, Blurred Lines.
Oh, my God.
And they were just spraying this guy with the hose. But he wasn't doing it erotically. Like, he wasn't dancing. He was just... he looked like he was... I don't know, like a Jew about to enter the camp.
Yeah.
And they were hosing him down.
Or like in like prison movies when they like hose the man down.
Yeah, and then like just hey, and then they're just spraying this guy down, and I'm like, is this what the fuck like gay clubs are like? Like, what is this shit? So then, you know, we're all sitting at the bar, everyone's miserable. You know, like, and they're all like talking like as if it was a regular bar. You know, like the guy's talking to the bartender, like, "Hey, Dave. Hey, Steve. How you doing?" Like the gay bartender's washing the mug with the rag, and he's like, "Hey, how's the wife and kids? They're okay. You know, hey, it's all right. You know, I know you're good for it. Pay me back later." You know, so it's just like any other place. And then all of a sudden, this guy who couldn't have weighed more than 90 pounds. Got up on the table and he was wearing like a thong and he just started dancing and nobody noticed this guy. And I look up and I could see this guy's nugget pouch hugging like just through his fucking thong. And I'm like, this is really inappropriate. Like, I don't care if it's gay or like just right. Like, I'm drinking my club soda, and I see this guy's fucking abs in front of my face. I could smell the sour smell of his ball sweat, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So, and then. You know, so if you haven't been to a gay bar, I would really recommend you go to a shitty one. Like, don't go to like the high end
Don't go to Roscoe's. Don't go to Roscoe's. Go to this place.
I think it was
where you can watch a twink get on a bar in a thong and dance.
Like in front of me, like just rude. Didn't even say like hi. He just fucking got up on there and he was just wearing his socks and his thong, and then like he was just like grinding on the table, but no one was looking at him. Everyone else was just like standing there with their arms crossed.
Wow, he was probably the worst dancer ever if no one was paying attention to him.
It was the saddest place on earth.
I want to go to there. I actually, as you were talking about this, I was thinking about one of the things I love about the city is all the cool bars that there are to go to. Like there's just like I have just an affinity for like bars that are so dark that you can barely see the person sitting next to you and stuff. And like my friend Shannon and I explored, we went to this place called the Victor Bar, which is, I think it's south of Lincoln Square. And it was like this really like dark place and the music was fucking horrible, but the drinks were great. And it was just like dark and like cool. And my favorite bar in the city, I don't want to name it because I feel like people are going to judge me, but I love it because it's like so like gross on the I mean, it's nice-ish on the inside, but it's gross. And like, I'll give it away here. There's a fucking waterfall on the inside of the bar, and it's just like, I don't know, man, it's cool, but it stays open till like 4 a.m. I haven't closed it out, thank God. But there's like cool little places, or like Cole's Bar is like this, or like Burlington Bar. Those are all in like Logan Square or whatever. But they're just like dark holes where you can go get cheap beer and it's good stuff. Same with what's it called? I don't know. I just like love like dark holes in the wall, and there's like cool places to eat. And I mean, Revolution Brewing Company is up there, or stays like down there. I don't know. I just have an affinity for those types of places, and like, not even like, I don't, like I've said, like, I'm not a drinker. I'll go and like enjoy a really nice cocktail, or I'll enjoy like a really good glass of beer or something like that. My goal isn't to get like plastered or shit faced or anything like that, but yeah. I have just an affinity for dark bars, and the city has a lot of them, because I'm fucking sick of towny bars, man. Ugh.
I've been to those dark bars. I don't remember any of the names, because I remember I would go so often to these places, and of course I didn't drink, but they were just they were nice places to hang out.
Yeah, you meet interesting people. They're good to talk. Like, you can talk. It's good.
Yeah, there's nothing out of the ordinary, because I don't like the places where you have to scream at the top of your lungs in the person's ear for them to still say, "What?"
Exactly. I hate that. I want to like be able to sit next to the person I'm talking to and like talk to them, and like it's dark, and like we can just like, the bartender's good, and like, you know, nothing beyond that. Shannon and I did explore this one place called Lost Lake, which is like a tiki bar, and that place was really fun, but it was also like a little too hipster for its own good. Man, I mean, like there's just cool things like to do and to see, and her brother's a chef in Ravenswood, and we had a really great time. Like, for my birthday, like, we went out on the city, and he took care of us, and it was probably, you know, like you're saying, it's like that headspace you're in, but it was one of those nights that was like, it's why I like the city. Like, when I think of the city and what I love about it, it's like, it's nighttime, the street lamps are glowing, they're orangish yellow like they do, and it's cool out, and you're able to walk, and it's just peaceful. Like, that's the best part of the city. And like, you know, you're walking, you know, you had a great meal, and now you're going to a bar with your friend, or you're going to meet somebody, and it's just like this chill vibe, and I don't know, it just feels really good, and like, I don't know, I just love that feeling. I told someone recently that you know the Childish Gambino song Redbone? Are you familiar with it? I have not heard it, but I know, you know, of the child. You know, of the child that is Gambino. So Redbone was like his big, Childish Gambino's big song was Redbone off of his last record, Awaken My Love. And it's like this awesome, like kind of like sexy funk thing. And I just like have this vision of like that song playing, and me being naked, walking down the middle of a Chicago street at night, just like feeling the orange glow on my skin. And I think it's really weird, because like, Gabi, why are you naked in the street walking that song? And it's like, shh, don't question. It just is. And it will always be.
That's because you're a whore.
Well, we fucking knew that. No, don't we? No, I'm just kidding.
You're just asking for it.
Yes.
How could you walk down the street butt fucking naked and not expect guys to be whistling at you?
I don't know. I just want, and it's going to be this thing where I'm just like awkwardly like dancing like hippie movements like to the song, and just like slinking through the dark like to this song. And I don't know, it just like fucking works in my brain. Like,
sounds like a cool song.
It's a really awesome song. It's so good.
I felt that way to a circus song one time. What?
Like the circus? Like, do like clowns and animals and shit in a big tent?
Yeah, dude, I wanted to fucking whoop it out. You know, and just walk down the street, you know. Just made me feel good, and this bombed big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't recover from there. All right, gotta think of something racist or something racist to recover. Okay.
Well, actually, I was thinking, I'm like, you could, I would never sing the chorus of Redbone, because it's got a word in it that I won't use.
Yeah, right.
It's got a word in it that I can't say.
Do they say bitch in there?
Whenever I sing it, I say they be creepin'. They gonna find you. Oh, 'cause they won't.
Yeah. One of our favorite places with me and my group of friends at in film school was a place in the Loop called Thai Spoon. And
I know Thai Spoon.
It is the shittiest. Like, you go there, they literally just feed you shit. They're all mean. The waitresses, they are so rude. They never come back for water. and you ask them like, hey, can I like get this? And they're like, yeah, uh-huh. And they just leave. And then like you're there for a while and then they just rush you. Like it's the worst, best place ever. But because we were all like at the table, like there's like sometimes there'd be like 12 of us just sitting around the big table, and like they just knew we were coming in and they're like, oh God, they would just sigh and, like scoff through their noses. They just that we were walking in there and they had in the men's bathroom stall, there was a tampon dispenser, like an empty shell of one. And, okay, this place was so shitty, there was not even gang graffiti in the bathroom stalls. Like, that's how, and it wasn't because it was a new place. Like, nobody went into this place to take a dump. Like, that's how shitty, like, people wanted to leave this place. Every other place I've been to, there's always been like, oh, if you want a hot blowjob, call Dave at this number.
Call Dave.
Dave was nowhere to be found on the stall doors.
We should talk about good places to go in the city. I'll start with Rogers Park. First off, there's a place called Uncommon Ground. It's a restaurant. It's very good. It's very good food. Ann Sather's. You been to Ann Sather's? You had those cinnamon rolls? Mm-mm. Okay, so it's a Swedish place known for its cinnamon rolls. Fucking best. In Andersonville, it's a place called Lovely Bakery. I don't know if it's still there. Fucking delicious. It's baked goods. How can you say no? Other things. I love Belmont and Clark. The alley reopened as a fucking cafe, which is fucking weird. We should talk about the alley. Did you love going to the alley like a 15-year-old like I did?
I don't know what the alley is.
Motherfucker. Oh, God. Oh, God.
So you were fine with all the other racist shit I've said.
No.
Because I didn't go to the alley. That does it.
That's not true. No. So the alley was like the goth punk hub of so Belmont and Clark, that area? Like it's literally 2 blocks east of the Belmont purple, brown, and red line. But the alley was this like 2 or 3 story like goth punk haven, expensive ass like shirts and trip pants and gothic wonders or whatever. So it was this store, but it closed. I don't remember what year, maybe 2013 or whatever. And it it closed because they bought the building. It got like bought out to make like a fucking Target or something like that. Some bullshit. So that happened, and then they reopened as like a cafe now, which I have not been to, but I think it's across from where they originally had like the first alley or whatever. The alley was a cool place. Same with Hollywood Mirror and Ragstock. Fucking love Ragstock, and it was a chain.
Ragstock I've been to. I think I've been to one more. Actually, I have been to one in the city, and I went to one in Madison.
So fun.
I actually bought a funky dope fresh 90s like breaker jacket. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah, and actually I think I showed you the picture. I was wearing it when I met Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah, you did show me that. No, it's fucking rad.
It's the most bizarre picture I've ever taken.
It's a fucking... And wait, didn't you do that at the Music Box Theater?
Yeah.
Lovely place. Music Box Theater is a great place to go in Chicago for movies and independent stuff. Let me think, what else? Have you ever been to Demo's Pizza? A lot of people know about Demo's.
No.
Demo's has like inventive like pizza slices. If they have a dessert pizza slice where it's like chocolate chips, s'mores, Teddy Grahams, marshmallows. Like, ugh. It's delicious. It's disgusting. It's awesome.
Nah, man. Okay, like, so here's my, like, top places. Okay, there's this one place, like, in the Loop that has some really good-ass sandwiches for, like, dirt cheap, too, like, $5. Subway. There's a couple, like, in the burbs, too, like, here and there. They're good. McDonald's, they got, like, the fucking, it's called, like, the Big Mac. That's it. It's fucking boss, dude. And then there's the, Thai Spoon, where if you just want to be pooping soup for 3 days and pray to every god you know, you go eat there.
I think Thai Spoon has Puthong. Puthong is like Krabi Rangoon or something like that. You're ingesting diarrhea, and they know and they hate you, but it was the best place ever. They just built a Burger King. I mean, that place is pretty rad. You know what was funny? When I was living in the city, like, Taco Bell was non-existent, and you'd have to take an exodus to Taco Bell. Like, there was no... But I just had this thought of, so at the Loyola Red Line stop, there's a Dunkin' Donuts, like a 24-hour Dunkin' in the basement of, like, or the ground floor of the Loyola Red Line, and the amount of times, like, you'd get drunk, or, like, be off the L, and you would stop and get, like, a fucking donut and coffee or hash browns, or, like, you're at a party, city, and then someone's like, yo man, I want Dunkin'. Yeah, fuck yeah. And then like the kids migrate to the Dunkin' to get their fucking hash browns at 2 a.m. because they're shit-faced. So many good times. I like Burlington Bar. I like in Logan. All right, I'll say it. My favorite bar is the Owl. I didn't want people to judge me. My favorite bar is the fucking Owl. I don't care who knows. Love that place. Actually, I told you this, but I ended up like getting stood up on a date, and so I went to the Owl afterwards because I got invited to a music festival, but the dude never like showed up or whatever. So I went to the Owl because I was like, I'm gonna go to my favorite bar in the fucking city, and had a great time, and was good stuff. Well, I talked about that actually. Like, I talked about it in a previous episode. I didn't say the fact that I got fucking stood up, but
right.
But yeah, no. What?
That's sad.
No, you know what? It had to happen at least once. I've never been stood up before, so like, you know, it's a scar. Not a scar. What do I mean? It's a battle scar. Like it's a story to tell.
Like a big gaping wound that you got that's infected.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And it stinks like that Twinks balls at the gay bar.
No, because ew. But no, it was good because then I got to see that band Hyde, and they were really fucking cool. And then got to listen to their music and sweat outside, and be outdoors and see AM Taxi, and saw a ska band, and ran into my friend from my grad program. Good shit. Good shit comes out of the great thing of that. Like I'm realizing in life is like good things will come out of like crappy situations. Like I was telling my hairdresser how I got like stood up on that date, and she's like, "So what'd you do? Did you leave the festival?" I'm like, "No, I stayed and I listened to music for a few hours and just like hung out." And she was like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Good for you." And I'm like, yeah, like what else was I gonna do? Like be like, oh my god, he stood me up, and like leave? Like fuck no.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy. No, I paid my $10. I donated my $10 to get into this fucking thing. I'm gonna watch some fucking bands. Yeah, have a good time.
Yeah, man. Like you gotta like you gotta wear your fuck him dress and just like fuck him.
Yeah,
and just dance your ass off.
Yeah. Well, I danced a little bit. Only I think mostly the ska band. I didn't want to be like, when you have to have like that kind of like front where you kind of like you're nodding your head. Mm-hmm. But that's like all you're really allowed to do. Yeah. But like that band Hyde was fucking sick. But yeah, dude. So
Johnny's Beef, great place to eat. Some great Italian beef. Super Dog.
I've never been to Super Dog.
Super Dog's the shit, dude.
I need to go get some french fries at Super Dog. Chicago Diner.
Chicago Diner, definitely. Mm-hmm. White Palace Grill. We got the best chicken and waffles.
White Palace Grill. There's the Deluxe Diner on Clark. There's about 3 golden nuggets in the city, and I've never dined at one.
It's just a typical diner. Like it's a diner in the city. Like that's pretty much the... There's some pretty killer fries last time I was there, though. Margie's Candies, probably like the best like ice cream.
Never been.
Oh, it's such a crowded place, but it's like they give you this banana split and they split the fuck out of your wig, man, when you eat it. That's how good it is. So up north by me, there was a place called Lickety Split that did custard, and they also had like a bakery, and their big thing was you could get like a concrete or basically like custard, but they would crumble a cupcake into it and then mix it up. It was great. Dude,
surprised I don't have diabetes. Jesus Christ.
Forever Yogurt. I mean, they might be elsewhere, but I remember one only existed in the city, and I like that actually converted me frozen yogurt to from ice cream to frozen yogurt. Now I just like frozen yogurt with gummy bears in there. So many other places. Crisp is really good. Bobtail is really good. Stan's Donuts.
Stan's Donuts, man, I need to go. Dude, everyone talks about it.
It's very happy place to be.
It's a happy place.
It really is. So I learned a lot of good things in life, just from being in the city. I've had some of the best conversations with people just in the city because, like, once the city dies down at night and when the energy comes down,
yes,
something happens to people where you just know, like, the night is in front of you, and then, like, you're just talking to them, and it's kind of like it's like the equivalent of right after the rain. It's like, it just calms down, and then, like, the sun is kind of peeking through the clouds. That's kind of how it feels in the city.
You get it.
At this magic hour at night.
You get it. And that feeling is what makes me want to just, like, listen to Redbone naked walking down the street. Like, I'm just gonna groove to that song naked walking down the street. Like, there's just this fucking vibe, this fucking feeling that, like, it's good and it's hip and the night's in front of you and you feel fearless and young and indestructible. Like, I don't know. I'm waxing so poetic about it. It's crazy.
You gotta fucking do it now.
Well, okay. But, like, I have to wait till I'm, like, ultra famous, because then it won't be weird to just be naked walking down the street to Redbone.
You got a podcast. You're famous enough.
Oh, this is true. This is true. But, you know, being a teacher, I don't want to, you know, I think, you know, I'd have to plot out what street to make sure there was no schools, because if I was naked in a school, that would make me a sex offender.
Well, just go by your first name and not your Mrs. last name.
Good.
Or Ms. last name.
Oh, Mrs.? Oh, I get it. Because all of us have to be married as teachers. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
In truth, the amount of times I get called Mrs. Whatever is insane. And I have to be like, Mrs. Whatever is my mom? Or I usually make it a joke and be like, why do you have to remind me that I'm not married and that no one loves me? And just, like, put it on them and make them feel awkward for a moment.
Yeah, I feel the same way when people call me sir.
I bet you fucking do.
They would call me
Mister.
They would call me, if they called me Mister, I'd feel so much better. But they call me sir, and I feel like a piece of shit. Like, hey, sir, you single dumb fuck. You cropped your beard wrong when you shaved yesterday, dickhead. Yeah. So, no, but I think one of the best things that I learned in the city was to lose track of time.
Oh, that's so true. Just, like, lose yourself in the neighborhood or take a walk and see what you see and explore.
Yeah, like, I remember, like, just, like, sitting outside of either an ice cream shop or a cafe or, like, a restaurant, and then, you know, it's, like, that magic hour. It's, like, you know, the sun just set, and, like, the sky's just a little bit purple, like, in the distance, and then you just share a silent moment with whoever you're with, and then you just, like, look at the people passing by, and then, like, there's, like, someone, like, there's, like, an older woman, like, maybe in her, like, 40s, and she's walking, and she's got, like, groceries, and then she, like, makes a sharp turn into, like, her apartment, and she, like, opens the door, and then, like, walks in, and then, like, you just see, like, another guy on his phone walking down the street, and, like, you're just looking at him, you're like, wow, you're so lost in that fucking thing right now, and
it's so intoxicating. Like, there's this intoxicating moment of just, like, when you're walking and you lose yourself, and you're just, like, in that fucking moment, and you're, like, looking at, like, you're studying the people in front of you, and you're just, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like this, like, it makes my whole body just, like, hum. It's just, like, this moment that you get, like, in the city that I've just never experienced out here in the suburbs, and it's like, oh, like, it feels so good.
And then, like, from behind you, you hear this, like, clinking sound. It's like, ting, 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 and then it gets louder and louder, and then, like, as, like, it gets closer to you, you realize it's a doggy, and then the dog, and then, like, you just pet the doggy, and then, like, whoever's walking the dog's like, get away from my fucking dog! They're always just like, yeah, that's name's Baskerville, and you're like, Baskerville, I love you so much, and then the dog walks away, and then, like, they just go away in the distance, and then, you hear, like, that light sound in the background, like when there's no traffic around you, but you see like,
the L, and it's the L.
Yeah. And then, yeah. And then, like, it may be in the distance, you hear, like, an ambulance, and it's just like, and then, like, you just, like, you feel, like, the wind, like, just kind of, like, brisk across your face.
It brisks across your face, like, down the street, and, like, if it's fall, it, like, rustles the leaves on the street, and it's just, like, oh, pure bliss.
Yeah, and then, like, you feel like your hands are never really clean because you eat, like, a really greasy pizza, or, like, you just, like, you know, like, you didn't wash your hands after you ate. Maybe you got some sauce on them or something, and the hand sanitizer just isn't working, and then you're just sitting there and you're just marinating. Like, your hands are marinating, and then, you know, you look at you look at the clock, or you look at your phone, and you see what time it is, and you just say, oh, shit, I gotta go. Mm-hmm. And then you part ways, and then you just walk to the fucking CTA, and then it's like there's always, like, someone that just got off of work, and then, like, you know, they were in, like, like a janitor's like like something like where like they like do cleaning, or they like are wearing like a business suit but the tie is loosened, and they're all on their phones, and you're looking like you're like sitting in the very back of the train and you're looking up and you realize everyone's just on their goddamn phone.
That's the worst.
And then you're just kind of looking at, because you're like in the tunnel of the CTA and it's so dark you can only see reflection looking out the window, so you're looking at yourself and it's a little bit blurry and you're like, holy shit, I'm in the city.
Yep. That's exactly it. That is exactly it. And it feels so good. Another thing too, in the city, Christmas time, saxophone music. Or when it's cold in the loop and you hear a fucking saxophone, and it's just like, that is like a moment. Or like there used to be like a dude would have like a drum kit down there, like a drum kit and a saxophone, and you'd be like walking and like dun, 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 dun.
Don't they need a permit to do that shit now? Like,
yeah, for busking you need a permit. I mean, if you just like show up, like you got that space till you got it, but yeah, you do need a permit or whatever. So, God, man, so I like fucking love that vibe and I love that feeling, and I feel like maybe I'll move to the city, maybe I won't. We'll see where it fucking goes, but I know that the city fucking intoxicates me when I'm there.
Totally does. It really is what you make it, because right now I'm all about the quietness in the suburbs, but that's only because I'm all about myself right now. Not to sound selfish, but like I'm really not sharing too many moments outside with people, at least so far this summer. You know, there's been a couple of moments, but you know, the city was like the go-to place. It was the place we would either, you know, drive to or meet up with a friend and go out and like to this place. So I might meet up with a friend in the next few weeks and catch something to eat after he gets off of work. But other than that, like, it really held a part of my youth when I was in film school. So from 2009 to 2012, I really liked the city. And I even remember telling my friend, we were like walking in Oz Park. And then I just said like, I love the city. And like, she was like, yeah. She's like celebrating because like, you know, she really brought me to all those great places in the city. But she saw LA in California and she's like, nah, fuck Chicago. But,
really?
Yeah.
I fucking hate LA. It's so gross. I can't stand LA. No. This is me. Now we're gonna have a podcast where I shit on LA for an hour and just like, I fucking hate LA. No, man, I just love Chicago. I mean, I like the cool, like, I like the Midwestern cities, like Milwaukee, Minneapolis, St. Louis, like all those places I fucking dig.
Yeah. So, I really have nothing else to say, but I think that's because the city, that city feeling that I've like kind of tucked away for years is like coming back now. I'm like, fuck, I want to like do something in the city. I want to like hang out there, like go there tonight, and then just fucking like just see a guy on a skateboard like whizzing by, and everyone just gets out of his fucking way, and he's got dreadlocks, and like he's like, you know, like 20. Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? And then you see like you know, all this other type of shit, but you know, just that feeling and just to hear that sound of like. So yes, thank you for listening to Coffee and Catastrophe with Brent and Gabi. If you haven't done so already, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We are also on Castbox. We are on Stitcher. iTunes.
And of course our lovely website, coffeeandcatastrophe.com.
Pretty soon we're going to be on YouTube, so keep an eye out for that. We will update you when we can. But in the meantime, you guys take care of yourselves and each other.
Bye.